Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Katy Huff, and you're listening to Setting Yourself Free, a podcast where we are encouraging people to be set free from whatever's holding them back from being, doing, and having all that they were created to be. And I am thrilled to let you know that, as I said, this is Katy Huff with Katy Huff Ministries. And you can follow us at www.katy-huff.com to learn more about my book, coaching, courses, and retreats. Follow Katy Huff Ministries on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter for more encouraging and stay up to date on all things happening with Katy Huff Ministries. And I am thrilled to share with you, this is episode 20 with the beautiful and wonderful Nicole Otto. And I have encouraged her to share with you, what have you set yourself free from?
What have I set myself free from? I used to struggle a lot with guilt and boundaries. Guilt of setting boundaries. And I have absolutely set myself free from doing that.
Awesome. You might need to turn your volume up just a little bit.
Is that better?
I think so. Yeah. So share with us what that means to you.
Oh, that means I was able to set healthy boundaries that were good for me in my life and break free from the guilt of feeling like I shouldn't set those boundaries for people. It is very freeing. Or even setting boundaries with my daughter and not feeling guilty about it. I've been able to do that too.
That's awesome.
It's very freeing because when you don't have those boundaries, or when you're not used to setting boundaries, and then you try and set one and the other person tries to make you feel bad about it. If you feel guilty about setting the boundary in the first place, you're going to feel a lot of guilt when those people come at you for it, even though it's the best thing for you in your life. And being able to set those healthy boundaries for my life and not feel guilty when they try and make me feel guilty about it it's a blessing.
Yes. So there must have been some sequence of events that made you have that aha moment in regards to what happened to make you feeling guilty and realizing that that was a safe, healthy decision to set boundaries. Was there a sequence of events?
Well, the sequence of events have been like years coming. It started, before I actually found my faith. Before, God came down and smacked me upside the head and said, "You're going to listen to me this time." Started before that, with my mom, who very unhealthy relationship. And I struggled for a very long time to set those boundaries with her and not let what she's going through or what she's doing in her life affect my life and me personally, my emotions. And so it started there. And then just over, but there was still that guilt that, people saying, well, she's your mom, but she's your mom. And it's like, I understand she's my mom, but when it gets to a point where it's not healthy for me and I'm angry all the time and I'm sad and I feel like I'm doing wrong because I didn't drop what I'm doing in my life to do what she wants me to do, I don't know how to put it into words. I felt guilt. It was it was a guilt-ridden time in my life, right? And of course, there's other things that go along with guilt, because if you feel guilty about one thing, it's just like a trickling effect across your life. And I had a lot of that. And it really came to a head June, like in August of 2021 is when I finally was set free. So started, with my mom and all that. And then years pass, still in the same situation with the guilt and feeling bad and everything. And then an event happened where my daughter came to me and said, hey, can one of my friends stay over? Her house burned down, blah, blah, blah. I said, yeah, absolutely. To kind of make a long story short, because this is a long story, a lot of details, but this kid was in a very bad home. The mom tried to kill her and her siblings in the middle of the night in a house fire.
Wow.
There was a lot of emotional and mental abuse that went on in that home. And when my daughter asked for her to come over, I didn't know any of this, none of it. And then after a couple of weeks of this girl being with us, she came to me and asked me if I could help her, that she was afraid her mom would kill her next time if she went back. And so that started this whole process. And it's funny that when you're in it, you don't realize that one moment's going to lead you to another moment, going to lead you to another moment. And, that it's all by design, because like I said, I didn't have my faith at that time. I didn't, believe there was a God. I didn't believe, I had nothing. I just, was living my life. And so through this process of, sitting down with my husband and saying, hey, what do we do? This kid's come to me. If we send her back and something happens, we're going to feel really bad. Like it's going to affect us big time. So my husband and I sat down together and decided that we would do what we could do legally to get her out of that situation. So we went to court, ended up getting permanent guardianship till she's 18 of her. Now, instead of one teenage girl, we have 2 teenage girls.
Wow.
My daughter did a 180 and started being a very mean, cruel child to Hannah, the girl that came into our home, to myself, to my husband. She just was going the complete opposite way, causing problems. And I was at my wit's end, completely at my wit's end. I didn't know which way to turn. I couldn't handle any more of this emotional stuff going on. I just wanted it to be done. I was done. And one day, my daughter Olivia wanted to go to the park, which is by our house. I said, go ahead, go, have fun, just for a little reprieve from the chaos and the attitude. And when she came back, she looked at me and said, Mom, I met the most amazing people at the park. And I'm like, why are you talking to strangers? I taught you better than this. And she's like, Mom, just listen. So she said that she had met the youth group for the River of Life Church at the park. And she was excited and happy about meeting them, wanted to hang out with them more. So she asked if we could go to church that Sunday. This was on a Wednesday. So Sunday, I said, yeah, absolutely. Let's do it. I was looking for anything at that point to, calm the storm that was in our lives. And I'd never been to a church, never picked up a Bible, never been to this church. I knew nobody. So I thought, I didn't tell anybody what was happening in our lives, nothing. And we went there, we sat down, and I didn't know it at the time, but it was a stand-in pastor because ours was on sabbatical. And we sat there and the sermon started and I'm watching, and he starts talking about an orphan finding a home, God loving you when it's your time, when he's ready for you, accepting God's love. And 5 minutes and I was bawling. I couldn't stop. Like it was uncontrollably coming, and I couldn't do anything about it. Like, I couldn't stop myself from crying. And I look over and my daughter's crying, and I'm like, what is going on? I'm thinking to myself, what is happening right now? Like, this is crazy to me. These people don't know me. I've never talked to them about my life. They have no idea what's going on. How is he speaking right to my life? Like, I didn't understand. And at the end of it, it was when he told us that the prayer warriors would be up front, and if we needed a little extra prayer that we could come up. And I'm sitting in the front, and I look over and I see Katy and David, who, mind you, I'd only met one other time at a meeting that had no affiliation with the church, nothing. And I couldn't even help it. Like, I went over to him. I'm sobbing. I probably got snot all over Katy, and I'm sorry for that. Trying to relay what's been going on, how things have been. I was at my end, and they just prayed over me. And when I left the church that day, that was the most peace I had ever felt in my entire life that I remember. And that meant so much to me, because like I said, I was on the verge. I was done.
Right.
And that moment right there, I think, is when I started being set free. That was the pivotal moment in my life.
Yeah.
And then, I got baptized, and that was freeing too,
Yep.
Me is gone.
Yes. The new been born.
New one has been born. And that symbolism to me was huge, because my life had been filled with regrets and trauma and guilt and all sorts of things. And being baptized and that whole process really helped me truly believe that I was free.
It's beautiful.
That's what led up to my freedom.
Yes. Well, those are some pretty amazing sequence of events to set yourself free, knowing that you are loved unconditionally, you are forgiven unconditionally, that his plan for you is perfect, and he's gives us free will, obviously. Yeah. And, as we've heard, truth equals love, and that he loves us even in our brokenness, because we're all broken at some level, depending on the day, the week, the month, the minute.
The minute. Yeah, I was going to say the minute.
Yeah. However, he is the rock, and his works are perfect, and all his ways are just. A faithful God who does no wrong, upright and just is he, obviously. And that's Deuteronomy 32:4, which is just gives us, like, we've had conversations about the pausing or praying, pausing and having peace, and truth and love, that you can speak truth in love by setting the boundaries that you have, that it's not anything other than you're doing it to protect and to love and to provide. And you're right about peace. Peace is the guardrails, and that is kind of like telling that you are in the right place at the right time with the right community that was loving on you and supporting you. So that is awesome. So I don't know if you can add to how you've seen God move in your life to set yourself free from this, from that point to where you are today.
Let's see. So I started really praying for my daughter, Olivia. Hannah has been doing amazing. I prayed for her a lot. I still do every now and again, but that kid is a rock star. She has totally immersed herself into the church, the youth group, the kids church. She teaches in kids church. She goes on the missions. She just has really flourished in her faith and has done really well. Olivia, on the other hand, we are still praying for her, but I've noticed over the last year that she has gotten more okay with when she's at my house on the weekends. I said, hey, why don't you go to church with me? She's like, okay. Instead of going, absolutely not. So, and like y'all say, it's not my timing, it's God's timing. And when God is ready for her, or when she's ready for God, it will happen for her. I mean, it took 42 years for him to reach me. So I just have to be faithful in praying for her and, keep it going and ask others to pray for her. But in the meantime, I've seen little changes in her. And I truly believe it's the prayer. It's absolutely the people that I have praying for her, and Hannah praying for her, and myself praying for her, and seeing how I think part of it too, and I could be wrong, but I think part of it is her seeing the change in me.
Absolutely.
How it's helped me in my life. Because she'll say, how can you be so calm in this situation? And really, I'm not calm. I'm just calmer than I used to be. So the change in just how much, I'm able to bring it down a notch when I'm upset or something's bothering me or whatever. I think her seeing the change in me in that way too has really caught her attention.
Oh yeah, because the fruit of the Spirit, and I'll talk to you a little bit about that, but even before that, when you talk about his timing, it's perfect and never late and never early. It's usually right on time, and there is a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens.
I am pretty pushy though, so it not being on my time, I kind of have issue with that, but
right,
I have to stay in my faith and remind myself that he is way bigger than me. He is way bigger than anybody I know. He's got this. He knows how it's going to play out. He knows how it's going to happen. And I just got to trust in that.
Exactly.
I'll tell you what, after this retreat, so at the retreat, we, talked about, you guys were saying, oh my gosh, if you haven't seen the War Room, you need to watch the War Room. Well, Monday night, I made my husband watch the War Room with me.
Yay!
Woohoo! And
that is awesome.
Right. And it just reinforced for me that I need to have faith. I need to make my own War Room for one, which I'm in the process of doing. And I need to fight on my knees. I need to fight for my daughter on my knees. Fight for my husband on my knees.
Yeah. And it's so good.
I think the more that I do that, the closer I'll become with God and praying the way he wants me to pray and needs me to pray. And, I think it will help me for sure. But I think it'll help with my husband and my daughter too.
Absolutely. The biggest takeaway from that movie, obviously, is like you said, you want to fight on your knees, but the fact that the woman, for those that have not seen this show, it is definitely one that you would want to watch, because instead of complaining about whatever you're complaining about, from your husband to your child, the woman said, have you ever thought about praying for your husband instead of complaining? And I think we obviously in our humanity get caught up in that because of the height of the moment. But when we are listening and checking in with ourselves and hearing what we're speaking, whether it's life or death, is spoken through the tongue. And by praying for them, it's in the hands of God, and it's a matter of timing before they will have a turnaround. And to your point about your question about your daughter seeing how your behavior and your attitude and just your calmness is so different than what it was, is like, I always look at Galatians 5:22-23, which I've always looked at my husband and said he walks out and is a walking example of the fruit of the Spirit, which is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. Against such things there is no law. So when you look at those things, it's kind of like, for me, a checkup from the neck up. Am I walking in gentleness? Am I walking in self-control, joy, peace, love, faithfulness, patience? So your daughter's seeing the work that God is doing in and through you, and you're a walking, talking example of who he has created you to be, which will create a lot more peace and just love of each other and respect and honoring of each other.
And I'm not perfect, definitely not perfect at it, but that's okay.
We're all in process.
Yes.
Yes. So thank God we're not where we used to be, and thank God
Right.
I'm on my way.
Exactly.
So that's amazing. So what experiences do you have where God did not leave you or forsake you and helped you to be set free?
There's quite a few. It's hard to pick just one.
Yeah. Well, that's good, because he's always with you then, right? And he never leaves.
There's been pivotal moments in my life that I can look back at now. And now that I am walking in my faith and learning what that looks like, what that truly looks like, I can look back now and see 3 to 4 times throughout my life where I didn't know that he was with me. But the fact of the matter is, if he wasn't with me, I would not be here. There are 3 or 4 times in my life that I should literally be dead. And I'm not. And I know now, because that was God. That was God keeping me here for whatever purpose he has for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that really actually hits home for me, because not being a believer and then becoming a believer and looking back and seeing all those things that, it's like, good Lord, I don't even know how I'm here. That just reinforces the fact that even when I didn't know him, he knew me, and had his hands and his fingerprints all over my life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, he knows every hair on our head. He created us in his image, and he knew us intimately, even when we were in the womb of our mother.
Yep. And it's so big to think about. That is so much to think about. It's so hard to comprehend.
Yeah, it's the heart of the Father, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Our great provider, our great protector, our great healer, our greatest cheerleader. He wants nothing but the best for us. So yeah, it's a beautiful thing to hear you experience just his hand on you, even when you didn't think he was there. He'll never leave you or forsake you. And so what is your advice to someone who may be going through something similar and needing to set boundaries and not feel guilty about it?
First of all, pray about it.
Right.
About it. Because sometimes I think that we want to set boundaries where boundaries shouldn't be. And I think that if we pray about it and have peace with the boundaries we are trying to set, I think that here's your sign. Here's your sign. If you're at peace with boundaries you're trying to set, great. Now, when you're first starting boundaries, it is the most difficult thing ever. It is guilt-ridden. It is, should I be setting these boundaries? Is this a right boundary to set? But if you pray about it and it's something that's gonna bring value or peace to your life, and you feel at peace when you're setting them, then do it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're sure, talk to somebody else. Talk to another woman, that is in your group or your church group, or another woman that you are close to. Talk about it, because I didn't think people, set boundaries with their parents. I didn't think, and the more I've talked to people, the more I've heard throughout, the women that I've talked to is, yeah, I've set boundaries.
Yeah.
And it's okay. And so I think that even if it's hard, pray about it and then do what you need to do to add value and peace to your life.
Right. Well, and I bet you can remember when we had our conversation, even at the women's retreat, about the 3 Ps, that you pause, you pray, you pause, and then you don't do anything until you have peace. So you pray, pause, and peace. And when you don't put God first and you second, that your cup becomes empty, where you are giving to everyone else, where therefore you don't have the energy to even handle anything. And so your cup is dry. And that's why it's so important to remember to put in order what matters most, which for us that are believers is God's first, I'm second, my husband and the family is third. Because if I deplete myself, I'm not going to be good to them or me, and no one wins in that situation. So obviously realizing that you need to put yourself first ahead of, the to-do list and the family, or even your husband, in the sense that you need to be full of the love and the peace and the joy of God to be able to be peaceful, joyful, and loving to others. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely, 100%.
So it's healthy to set boundaries instead of trying to be all for all people, which is pretty significant. That we as women in general, a lot of times, are at the end of the line when we actually should be at the first of the line to refuel ourselves, so we can then, give back to the family and to your husband and to your business or your vocation or your job. So, well,
it's crazy. So that analogy where you're on the airplane and you lose cabin pressure and they tell you, take the mask and put it on yourself first and then help another person. Well, that's perfect, because, that's how we should be doing it. We need to put that mask on ourselves after God.
yes.
God, ourselves, and then the rest. And it says the same thing, because if you don't have that mask on, you can't help somebody else because you're going to be passed out. It's like, so
Yes.
Yeah, I love that analogy. And I think a lady brought it up at the retreat, actually,
Yep, very much so.
with me, because it's so true. I mean, it just clicks when you hear that analogy.
Yep.
At least it did for me.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So you may die in the process of saving someone else before yourself.
Yes.
Yeah. So, well, wonderful. Well, I am so thrilled that you have been able to share with us from your heart, Nicole, all that you've done to set the boundaries and not feel guilty. And I just think this has been absolutely amazing. I hope everyone has enjoyed this. And then I just want to say thank you for listening to the episode of Setting Yourself Free. Until next time, please go to www.katy-huff.com to learn more about my book, coaching. Instagram is where we're at. Twitter is where we're at. Facebook is where we're at. So we don't want you to ever not be able to find us. So I look forward to you following me and stay up to date on all things that are happening with Katy Huff Ministries. God bless you. Thank you for sharing, Miss Nicole Otto. And I hope you all have a blessed day and you have enjoyed our Setting Yourself Free.
Hello, friends and family. This is Katy Huff with Katy Huff Ministries. The reason that I'm reaching out to you today is because I have had the incredible experience of using the MyPillow products. So what products are there? There's the pillow, of course. There's the sheets. There's the towels. And in fact, my puppy even has a dog bed. So I'm reaching out to you because I have the opportunity to help you to save a lot of money when you find these products to be such use for you and your family. So you can go to mystore.com/unmasked is my promo code. So you're going to want to use my promo code to get those discounts, or mypillow.com/unmasked. That way you're going to get an incredible discount. You're going to enjoy the sheets, the pillows, the towels, and hopefully your little pet will enjoy the dog bed as well. Thank you.